Now, we all know how this story ends. However, Stage 15 of the 1999 Tour de France was without a doubt the most tactically active of the whole event, and despite the circumstances surrounding it, this stage was truly fascinating to watch. Armstrong came into the day with nearly 8 minutes in hand on a clump of favourites, including World TT champion Abraham Alano in second. The fact that Alano was able to hold on to second for 2 weeks is a good illustration of how comparatively weak this field was, as the Spaniard can't really climb very well at all. Anyway, this stage was also the hardest. 6 big climbs, 5 of them Cat 1, and the final 4 had no valley road in between, which does encourage early attacks despite the summit finish. The break struggled to form in the early going, something that wasn't helped by the sprinters teams who wanted to keep it together for the intermediate sprint. A full peloton roared into the first climb of the day, but attacks didn't fly until the top, and on the descent, a group of 11 formed. And Alex Zülle made their intentions clear early, putting riders into the break to help them later in the day. The peloton formed up behind US Postal, and it looked like the break may have been set, but the gap was less than a minute, and this prompted an attack from Roland Meyer, who wasn't exactly aerodynamic, but opened a little gap as 8th overall Pavel Tonkov bridged with Richard Virenque in tow. US Postal sprinted toward a response, a little too quickly in fact, as their riders almost all blew at once, leaving Armstrong isolated in a still large GC group. The peloton caught the 3 attackers, which created another period of disorder, in which Tonkov and Virenque attacked twice each, catching break cast-offs but becoming less and less successful, as far too many riders wanted to get in on the move. Instead of attacking himself, Tonkov put a teammate up the road this time, but he couldn't bridge, leaving us with 7 riders at the front as they went over the top of the Col de Mont. The pretty battered peloton came onto the Col de Portelon, and Benesta whipped up the pace right from the bottom to help Alex Zülle isolate Armstrong, but it still wasn't enough for Meyer, who attacked again. He found 2 friends and continued to drive away, but not to be outdone. Tonkov attacked the group with Laurent Dufaux and another Benesta as everyone else looked to Postal to close the gap. When Fernando Ascartin put in a red alert attack to chase them down, Armstrong got nervous and also attacked. Everyone I just mentioned regrouped to form a super selective GC group of around 20, and they sat up, a sensible decision given the climbs to come. Meyer's 5th attack was joined by Tonkov and Zülle, but the group of 5 didn't collaborate, and the Cofidis riders still couldn't get away. The TV cameras missed the descent in the first part of the parasol, but when they returned, Escartin had leapt away with Laurent Dufaux. Tonkov had attempted to follow, but he couldn't make it, and paid for his efforts around 2 kilometres from the top as he lost contact from the peloton, still 40k from safety. Escartin and Dufaux went right through the early break and continued to push their gap out to nearly 2 minutes ahead of a weary peloton. And while the peloton regrouped over the top and took stock of the damage, the break was sprinting for mounting points and then pedalling the descent, so much so that they had a 3-minute advantage by the bottom of the penultimate climb. Escartin's brave solo was also missed by the TV cameras, but with 30k to go he was alone, just as Abraham Alano was dropped from the peloton. Kevin Livingston was able to close around 30 seconds of the advantage for Armstrong, but when he fell off everyone just looked at each other, playing further into the hands of the Kelme rider who continued at a steady pace. However, Armstrong wasn't sitting around to lose yellow, and so attacked with Virenque and Zülle on his wheel. The effort popped the Frenchman totally, but Zülle paced himself, letting a gap open and grinding his way back on terms. Armstrong figured that the Benesta rider would cooperate to put time into the other favourites, but the chasers cooperated better to regroup by the bottom of the final climb. Some inspired decision from Escartin gave him a 3-minute advantage on the main GC group, and he needed every second of it as he seemed to struggle in the final steep sections. Back in the GC group, Armstrong again got nervous and attacked, meaning he was alone with 9k to go. He caught Dufaux, but then made the decision to sit up behind the Swiss rider, which is strange since he'd just made the effort to bridge up to him. This allowed everything to come back together, including a resurgent Zülle, and Virenque attacked shortly after, with only Armstrong and Zülle able to follow. The trio really went after it, but there was no catching Escartin, who took the stage and jumped himself up to 2nd overall. 2 minutes down the road, Armstrong's strange decision to let everything regroup was explained, as he fell off the pace just inside the Flamme Rouge. The remaining duo got little time as the final 500 metres were flat to downhill, limiting the American's losses to just 9 seconds, despite his explosion in the final K. This stage set the podium for the race, but on stage 19 Zülle moved ahead of Escartin in the time trial, but Armstrong held on to win the Tour by over 7 minutes in the end.